I've long thought that innovation, the biggest barrier to innovation is not to do with funding, but it's actually to do with looking foolish. And it's somewhat of a mystery to me that looking foolish is such a big part of our life. And this often keeps people away from funding different projects because they don't want to look foolish, and people from doing things that are really, really innovative because they don't want to feel foolish. They don't want to feel like they're a mistake or that they're going along the wrong path. One of the things that you will know if you do anything that's somewhat innovative in your life is that you have to stick with a path that is often extraordinarily uncertain for a long time. It's only after you can look back and say, well, this all made a lot of sense. But when you did it, it feels very uncertain. It feels like you're doing the wrong thing. It feels like you're kind of, it's dirty or it's a mistake. It's got a lot of negative experiences to it. And I've long thought that what keeps people away, in fact, if you talk to people or if you just interact with people, it's not money. They will say it's money or they say it's this particular thing. But really, what they mean is they don't want to look foolish or disorganized or any number of different ways that they frame it. But it's basically the same thing that they don't want to look silly to other people or themselves because there's always a different way that you could do things that is less expensive or that um, that could get around some of the things that you're thinking about. I think about that right now. Uh, so I'm I'm all over social media at this moment. Podcasts and YouTube and, TikTok and all those kind of things. So one of the things that holds me back, so there's two things that hold me back. One of them, when I do it, is I do have a fear myself. I have a fear of, what would people think if I said this or I did that? So I don't often go to a certain, there's certain things I will never talk about. There's certain things that I know are probably actually pretty relevant and would be very helpful to people if we openly talked about that or just acted in a certain way. Like, I probably will never go on, a YouTube channel without a shirt on, right? Like, I'd maybe if I'm swimming, but that there's things that I just won't go. I don't feel comfortable with those things because I feel foolish. I feel like I'm making a mistake when I do those things. And I think that this feeling is pretty universal when you start looking at, what people are willing to do and to go into. And I think it's a healthy fear, in the sense that it's sort of biologically programmed into us. But at the same time, if we want to do things that are innovative, we often have to breach that feeling. We have to go and do things that are far different than what we're told. And it feels challenging to do it. Or, even so, if you're an investor, you have to invest in things that you don't feel comfortable with or hire people that you may not necessarily feel comfortable with because that's how you actually often get things done. You don't discover that thing that is unique and different and interesting until you actually do that, until you pursue it. But it's incredibly hard to find those things unless you do things that are seemingly a little bit different. There's always a similarity that you're going to have to do, but they are a little bit different than what everybody else does. If you look at the things that for example, that go viral on the internet, which I think is a common way for us to think about innovation today. Those things tend to be a little bit unique, and they also resonate with an undertone with people that are actually watching it. But the things that tend to not necessarily go viral are the things that you could tell that people are holding back. That's why I say it's kind of good to be a little bit awkward sometimes. It's kind of good to let go of that feeling of perfection that you have and to pursue those things that are not necessarily all that perfect. I know it's challenging for us to do this, um, but it's often the biggest barrier, at least in my eyes. And I think anybody that's done anything innovative will begin to understand that, and they'll begin to feel that feeling that it's really challenging. And the problem is, is that you have to do a lot of things that are awkward, or do a lot of things where you feel foolish, like a lot of different things, until you find the one thing that actually starts resonating. But it takes a tremendous amount of work to actually get there. It's like if you are a stand-up comedian, for example, you don't become, a famous stand-up comedian in one show. It takes an awful lot of work. There's very few people that are naturally, seemingly, um, talented enough that can do that in one show, but it takes years and years and years of perfection and honing the craft and making sure that you are doing all of the right things. No, it's the same thing with innovation. The only way to get up and to do things that are innovative is to actually get up and practice that every day. Try being awkward, be weird, be ready that other people are probably going to discount, disqualify, make fun of you, all of those different things that you're afraid of. But that is the innovative process that you're going to go through, because every once in a while, you stumble across something that just works, and then people kind of get it. So I encourage you to be more awkward, to be more foolish, but realize it's going to be a lot of work to actually get there before you start resonating. I think the key barrier is the feeling of foolishness. And it has nothing to do with all these other things that people think it's about, like money and not having the right things and all that kind of stuff. But it's actually this feeling of, I'm going to screw up, or I am a screw up, or I'm a weirdo, or any of those different things. I encourage you to go out and be a weirdo as much as you possibly can, to find that moment when you start resonating with the world.